There we go. In terms of your video, and then also your mic, so you can mute yourself, so turning your mic on or off as you work through that. And then obviously there's other features depending as you deal with it more, breakout rooms and some other features that you can work through with Zoom that as a student, you'll get to experience those more with your teachers. This is what we use for our office hours and for meeting with students just outside of our office hours also. So you'll have lots of experience with Zoom as we work through that. As a couple things to remember with Zoom is just if you notice that when you initially sign into Zoom, you will be put in a waiting room. That's just the security level that they have. So make sure you don't feel like you're in the wrong place. If you're meeting a teacher like tonight, the host will let you in. So you might just have to wait for a little bit to be admitted into the room. All KUSD policies still apply when you're in the Zoom meeting. And just also remember that there may be other students in there with you. So a lot of times it is you're meeting just with your teacher, but sometimes there will be other students in the Zoom room, just like a classroom. And even though camera is not required, if you do choose to use your camera, that KUSD dress code does apply. So just a couple things just to keep in mind with video conferencing and with Zoom. This is what we have up for you tonight. So Mr. Casper kind of kicked us off here. And then we're going to go into kind of the nuts and bolts. You get a chance to hear from Ms. Gorman, our counselor, and then a few other important things for you to be successful in being new to eSchool. And then if you have any questions, we'll definitely answer those. Feel free again to put those in the chat. So as we're going along, if something comes up, we'll definitely monitor that as we move forward. All right.
So, could we take a second and just introduce ourselves? Because I think this is the first time that we've seen actually.
Good. All right. Well, I am Brooke Reno, so I teach math here with eSchool. And then go ahead. We'll just work our way down.
Lily Stasek, and I'm English.
Oh, you're muted, Sarah.
You know, I'm going to figure out muting and unmuting. My name's Sarah Eisenberg. I'm the history teacher for eSchool.
Donna, you want to go? Oh, you're muted.
Look how expert we are at doing
Apologies. I'm Donna Murray, and I'm the...
Oh, there she's. We got a little bit. Donna glitched out a little bit on us.
Murray, business and electives.
Okay, perfect. Kim, you want to go? Oop, you're muted, Kim.
Yep, sorry about that, you guys. I'm using my daughter's laptop for the first time. I don't even know if you can see a picture of me or not.
We have your name.
Okay, sorry about that. Yep, I'm Kim Gorman. I'm the school counselor. Most of you have already connected with me at some point in time already this school year.
Thank you. And then last but not least, Jill.
I'm Jill Zupitz. I'm the consultant here. Most of you had probably some interaction with me when you first started with eSchool. So that may have been this year or previous years or whenever that you first got your start with eSchool.
Perfect. All right, and I know Mr. Casper, I don't know if he has anything else he wants to say, but our eSchool principal, is there anything else you want to add before we jump into the big stuff?
Again, my name's Mr. Casper. I'm the principal, and like I said earlier, if you guys get stuck along the way, please feel free to reach out.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so that is us. So let's get going into how does eSchool operate. So I kind of have the heavy, just informational stuff that we know is really important that we just want to go through. So I'm not necessarily going to read every screen through here, but definitely want to touch base on all this important stuff as we get started for the school year. Know that we are recording this and that this PowerPoint also will be available to you. So if you need to go back and reference anything, and obviously our website has a lot of this information on there for you to touch base on or reflect back on if you have more questions. So part of it is the duration. The first thing up here is the eSchool course duration. So we are a little different than the face-to-face schools in that most of our courses run on a 9-week course schedule, and you complete a half a credit in that 9 weeks. So that means that in 2 quarters, which is just a semester, you've already completed a full credit of your English or of your math or of your science. So it has that faster pace where you're typically taking less classes at one time. There are a few exceptions. You can see those listed there. just depending on the class and just certain situations. With your course, those 9 weeks, it does start from the date you are enrolled. So know that you will have that. The one exception is obviously just with starting first quarter, and we'll touch base on that a little bit in a little bit or later on, just the shortened first quarter due to the delayed start of the school year. The only exception with that 9 weeks is that we do end at the end of the school year. So our last day of school in June, that is your end date no matter what. So we do have to all be finished up with our courses by then. There's no extensions past that into summer. We don't really roll anything into summer school or anything like that. So that's with eSchool, just the length of it. So a little bit different than your traditional schools. Here's the first quarter exception. So hopefully if you've had conversations, the welcome calls with your teachers, that we've touched base on this, just that again, starting late, first quarter, 7 weeks, we're gonna try to stick to that. There have been accommodations made so that you see that in your course, or again, that conversation with your teacher in terms of maybe excusing certain things, or just again, making it doable for the 7 weeks. But we do want you to know that if an extension is needed, you just contact your teacher. So contact the teacher for that course and start to have that conversation so that we can, again, help you find success and finish your course and earn your credits, which is our goal for you. Students that start to enroll now in that, at the end of September, will have that 9 weeks. Okay, so that's just kind of what we're trying to figure out here with first quarter and the beginning of this school year. Regarding eSchool and its connection to Infinite Campus, so if you've come from other schools, obviously when you enrolled in KUSD, you enroll through Infinite Campus. In your other schools, grades are kept in Infinite Campus. You're able to check on that. So we are not linked directly to Infinite Campus. So as a parent or guardian, you're not able to go to Infinite Campus and see what assignments were turned in or what their current grade is. Attendance can be found there, so we do attendance weekly. But any type of monitoring or checkup for your child will want to be done through our Genius Student Information Center and our Buzz, and we'll touch base on that. Again, the guardian account there and where the student logs in to be able to monitor their progress. So we just want to make that clear. So if you see in Infinite Campus, you won't see any grades. Those are only put in at the end of the quarter once credit is earned. Next up is PACE, which is really important. So with eSchool, you have what we call kind of asynchronous learning, where you have that flexibility to kind of work on it based on your schedule within a day, within your week. So you will see that within the grade book, you are given due dates for each assignment. So from the enrollment date, from when you're enrolled to your end date, those assignments are kind of spread out and paced out. So those are the recommended due dates. So what as teachers that we like to do is that's what we're encouraging you to do, is to stay on pace and meet those due dates. So if you're behind pace, that means obviously due dates have passed and you want to catch yourself back up. So that's kind of our gauge that we monitor in terms of being on pace, ahead of pace, or behind pace. And that's all based on those due dates that are, again, automatically signed based on your start and end date. So if those ever change, those due dates will change also. So that's where the pace that you want to maintain as you work through your eSchool courses. And that's going to help you finish up on time and make sure that you do finish by your end date. Next up here we have, this is an example of your gradebook. So this is from Buzz. Buzz is our learning management system. So this is where students log in. This is the gradebook they see. And it will have listed, again, every assignment, assessment that the student will be expected to complete in order to earn credit. It has the start and end date. This bar is important. I always point this out to students. This is the gradable activities. So as you get to the end of the course, we talk about percent completed, and that's what that is referring to. So if we're saying you need to be 80% completed with the course in order to take a final, that's kind of that number that you want to refer to up there. The other important thing, and this is where I often recommend, especially teaching math for students, it's important to read your feedback in all of your courses. So this is a great place to kind of see that, where you can see your score. If you have an icon similar to this, that means that your teacher wrote you feedback. So you want to be checking, even seeing your score feedback, but also seeing what the teacher wrote to you. And then here's those target due dates that I mentioned. So again, they're listed in order, and that's the due dates assigned. And then your gradebook will log, obviously, when you submit it. So everything in your gradebook, and this is good for you, for students, and also for parents, that everything is logged. So this this activity log is a great thing just to see how much time you're spending in a lesson or an assignment or on a test. So it's really important that we use that data to kind of help support the students. So if not enough time is spent in a lesson, we know we can kind of use that data to say, hey, maybe you should be spending more time in a lesson. So just that everything is marked correctly in the grade book, and that's very useful for everybody that's involved. So there's your grade book. We touch base on extensions. So you have the 9-week courses. This first quarter is 7 weeks. So extensions to end dates are possible. It's really on a case-by-case basis, so you can kind of see that. We don't, how we talked about the end of the school year, so it will not go past the end of the school year. So that's kind of holds strong. So you definitely want to make sure that you finish as we roll into fourth quarter, or that's probably more of a concern at the end of fourth quarter. And then the other thing, especially with Ms. Gorman on the call, and earning credits and overall earning credits towards graduation, is obviously having extensions, you're not being enrolled in the next course. So we definitely don't want you to fall behind in just overall credit accumulation. So that's a thing to keep in mind as we start to have that discussion if you do need an extension. And again, that's case by case and talking with your teacher, or again, Ms. Gorman is another one to touch base on regarding your end dates. Good, I'm gonna take a breath. I'm getting there. I got the big stuff here in the beginning. Next up is attendance. Again, if you have questions, please type it in the chat. If I can answer anything as I'm going through this, again, I'm trying to make it as brief and succinct as possible. Attendance is done a little bit different with eSchool. Obviously, we don't have synchronous sessions where we're taking attendance on Zoom on a daily basis or anything like that. So really, it's looked at in a week. And the main thing is that you must successfully submit at least one assignment in that week to be marked present for that whole week. Otherwise, you're marked absent for that entire week for that class. So if you submit no work from that Monday to the following Sunday, we check that every week, then you would be marked absent. That is recorded in Infinite Campus. It's really important though that just submitting one assignment won't have you finish the course on time. You know what I mean? That doesn't guarantee success. Just because you're not marked absent, if you're only doing one assignment each week, you will not finish the course by your end date, okay? So that's that minimum attendance requirement. So if you ever get any type of email that says you were marked absent, that's what that's referring to, is just successfully submitting one assignment each week. Another important communication tool between us as teachers and eSchool to parents and to students is we do send out progress reports. We email those at least every 2 weeks. So you should be seeing that whether your child is on pace or behind pace. And some important information to understand from the progress reports, it would be their current grade, so their current average, their course average up to date. So that is, remember, only for the work completed. So if you would have assignments that are past due, those are not given a 0. So the grade represents only the work completed. So an important thing to kind of take notice in a progress report is the number of assignments past due. Ideally, we want that to be 0, right? So that's where you want to make sure that that is being monitored so that students, again, are meeting those due dates and then, again, meeting the course end date to finish on time. So just be checking those. So I know email, just kind of keep an eye out for each of any teacher progress reports sent out to you. In terms of your teachers, so we're emailing you, you can definitely also reach out to us. So each teacher at eSchool can be, is available by phone, text, or email. So we each have our eSchool cell phone. So we can text students, parents can call us, students can call us, and then we also have email. So any of those communications are available to you. We encourage students and also parents, but also students when they are reaching out to their teacher, if we do not answer our phone, please leave a message, okay? Please don't just hang up. Please leave a message just giving us your name, and then letting us know to contact you back, or if there's some question or concern, just making sure you leave a message for us. Another thing besides phone, text, and email is what we're on tonight, which is Zoom, which is awesome. So I love when I can meet with students on Zoom to offer help. Each teacher does have specific office hours. It's not limited to that. So those are just set times that that teacher will be in their Zoom, and you can just click their Zoom link like you did tonight, and they will be just kind of waiting in there. You can ask for help, you can ask a quick question, then you can jump right back out. Otherwise, you'd want to reach out to your teacher and set up an individual time outside of their office hours. So that's another option for you. All of that information can be found, like how I mentioned, that eSchool website has a lot of good information. This is on the contact page for teachers. So you can, if you have trouble or if you're within your course, you're not quite sure to find your teacher's link, you can also always go to our website. And you'll see for every eSchool teacher, their name is listed, their course they teach, their email and phone number, and then also their Zoom office hours. So if you didn't see those maybe in the welcome folder, you can find those there. And then also the link is directly here, which is really nice. So I know it's nice sometimes to have access to different links in multiple places. So that is on the eSchool website. All right, I know this was one of the things on our Wordle here was final exams, right? So one of the things with eSchool courses is that you do end with the final exam. In order to take the final, you do have to be 80% complete. So I showed that on the grade book where you had that gradable percentage. So 80% of your course has to be completed in order to take your final. Obviously, make sure you understand though that any work not completed is going to be marked as 0 and ultimately would lower your grade. Okay, so it's important to kind of understand that. Our goal would be to complete all the work and then take your final exam. You will be scheduling those finals with your course teacher, and they're, I'm going to say, typically taken in a proctored environment because of the last bullet here. So for first quarter, if your teachers in your courses have not yet informed you, we are waiving final exams for first quarter if you have 100% of your work completed and your overall average is a 70% or higher. So that means that you're not skipping anything, you don't have any zeros, you're completing all your coursework, and that overall grade is 70% or higher. You will have the opportunity to be exempt from your final exam. Okay, so that's for all courses that are beginning during first quarter. So we're trying to work with everybody again during just kind of this very unique start to the school year and just kind of still the situation that we're in with the quarantine and COVID and all that. So if you have more questions with that, definitely reach out to your teachers as you come towards the end of your course. And we'll definitely work with you just to make sure that that's clear in terms of what you need to do to be able to meet that exemption. Passing a class. So you get to the end, right? So again, this is dealing with kind of overall, so not outside of just first quarter. You do again have to have at least 80% of your assignments completed, okay? And when you do have to take your final exam must be completed with a score of 60% or higher. So that's going to be important as we roll into the rest of the school year, and you will be required to take a final that you will have to earn that passing score. That's really important. That's kind of just making sure that you've mastered that minimum amount to earn your credit. And then also your overall grade has to be a 60% or higher. Okay, so kind of putting those two things together, the final exam with the overall grade at that passing rate of 60% or higher. And again, noting that obviously first quarter is that exemption with us waiving finals. So just not having to worry about that as much for first quarter. As we look here, one of the things that we deal with online courses specifically, and even in face-to-face classes, is what we call academic integrity. So we can't have a meeting like this without touching on that. It's really important that we kind of just be very clear with what plagiarism is and what we expect from academic integrity. We actually have an academic integrity policy along with some other ones. So you can read here just in general in terms of what the definition of plagiarism is. And ultimately making sure that your work is your own, right? So when you're doing work, that it's you who's understanding it, it's you that's turning your work in. But here's obviously some more specific things for you to take a look at regarding plagiarism. And if you ever have a question, that's again a conversation to have with your teacher. If you're not sure about something, you know, again, this is just an open conversation, and we want you to be comfortable and be very clear in terms of what our expectations are, you know, so that you can meet them. This is a video. This is going to be something that I think if you want to come back to take a look at, it just gives a quick kind of introduction to academic integrity. So sometimes it's nice to kind of see through that through a video. So you'll have that in the PowerPoint if you want to come back to look at that, or any of us teachers can definitely send you the link. But it's something we want you to always have in the forefront of your mind as you're working through your lessons and your assignments. you know, is that you're ultimately, that again, it's your work, it's your learning. And if you need help and you're struggling, that's where you want to reach out to your teachers so that we can support you and get you successful and earn your credit. As I mentioned, a couple of the policies, attendance policy, academic integrity policy, there's a bunch of other ones. We're just giving you that resource. So know that, again, those are located on our website. So you can see any of those policies if you need a reference back to those. It's definitely something that is available to you on the website. All right, everybody, I'm gonna take a deep breath and exhale. That was all that stuff with eSchool. So I know I went through it really quickly. I don't know if there's any like burning questions right now. Obviously, definitely feel free to jump in, or if, I don't know if Lily, if there was anything in the chat that jumped out.
There's nothing in the chat. You did such a great job explaining this. If anyone does have any questions and you just don't want to turn on your mic, please type them into the chat and we'll answer them for you.
Great. And so next up, Kim Gorman, Miss Gorman's going to touch base on some counselor information. So she's got lots of just for new students and students that are with us for all their courses. So I'll let Kim kind of take it away here.
Okay, thanks, Brooke. So I will be brief as well. I'll try to be as brief as I can. I just wanted to mention a couple of things to you. First of all, about your schedules. If you guys have any questions about your schedules or something is not right or it needs to be changed, please feel free to reach out to me. And also you should be aware of your graduation requirements. You are required to have 23.5 credits to graduate, 10 hours of community service, and pass a civics exam. So I will be working with you. Oh, sorry, my cat's jumped up here. I'll be working with you over the course of the years to help keep you on track with that, but it's important for you to also be paying attention to that. Tomorrow, I'm going to send you information on community service hours and the Law Day graduation requirements, which is a new thing. This is actually going to be for the class of any current 10th, 11th, or 12th grader. From this point forward, will be under this new Law Day graduation requirement where they're not having a valedictorian or a salutatorian. So that's going to be really different. The grade point average is changing and all that. So I'm going to send you that information tomorrow. As far as standardized testing goes, it is still planned, and I did list there for which grade levels and what testing you'll be taking. I'm not totally sure how that's going to look right now with COVID and with the shutdown, and you know, a lot of the tests we're doing right now is online, so that potentially could be something that you'll be doing from home. I will keep you informed, but that should be coming up in the, I think it's starting in, let's see here, later in the fall and the springtime. So I'll be in touch with you about that. And then Zillow and advisory, I sent you information yesterday on this. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Zillow. It is something that you've been using since grade 6. And it's an opportunity for you to explore your interest in different colleges and different careers. So that advisory class that showed up yesterday in your Genius account, you can just click on that. It links you into your advisory, which allows you to get into Zillow, and you can log in there. And if you need help with that, just feel free to reach out to me. And if you guys do think of questions about anything after this presentation, feel free to send me an email or give me a call. And thanks for coming tonight. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good evening.
Thanks, Kim. All right, moving on. So next up, I had mentioned how we're not linked right to Infinite Campus, that we use what's called Genius. So we're going to touch base on as our Guardian accounts. And I'm going to turn that over to Jill Zupet.
All right, thank you. So everybody should have parent guardian accounts associated with their student accounts. That gives parents, guardians the opportunity to keep track of student progress and receive communications and so forth. So I'm just going to screen share and show you what a parent guardian account looks like. Just take me one moment here. Okay, so I'm going to get logged in. And parents and guardians, once you have an account, or if you do have an account, you're going to log in the same way the students do, that same website. It's on our eSchool website underneath the login tab, or if you have a bookmark, it's the same one that the students use. So this is what a parent guardian account looks like. Ours is generically named Guardian Kenosha. So at the top you have announcements and messages, and on the left hand side you have like basically like a menu bar, your dashboard. You can upload files, create a new application if you have another student in your family that would be joining eSchool. You have some course information. It's kind of like a nice snapshot to take a look at course description, teacher contact information for each of the courses. There's a suggested pacing. Now, this test student we have in this parent guardian account has been in use for quite some time. So some of the data for this test student is going to be a little bit off. For example, this one is 25 weeks behind. So not necessarily accurate for this particular test student, but it will be with your student when you view your guardian account. And you can also toggle to the next class by these arrows here to see each of the courses suggested pacing. And also then you can go to the gradebook, which is a nice feature right in your parent guardian account without having to necessarily log in to actually see the course itself. You get all that information right here. It gives you the course name, start, end date, current grade. Again, our test student has been in these courses for quite some time, and it looks like they're struggling in Algebra 1. You can see the number of assignments they've done and the teacher. You can also click on details to see more of a detailed view of that gradebook that the student has for this course. If you go to course plan, you can kind of ignore this one. This, since Genius, our student information system, is not linked to Infinite Campus, Infinite Campus is actually going to be the most accurate place to look at transcripts or work with Ms. Gorman on anything that you need to achieve your graduation requirements. The course plan is kind of misleading if you look at it, if you're referring to it for your graduation requirements. This is just what appears in eSchool. The next thing down the list is drop a course. For all the students in this particular meeting, if you want to drop a course, the easiest way would be just to contact Ms. Gorman and talk about a schedule change. Also, next one is the view transcript. So again, this student has been with eSchool for quite some time. You can see back to 2010, this test student, not an actual real student, but you can see that we've got a lot of history in this particular account. And so as you progress through eSchool, you will also have a number of courses show up here, your course history. And this is an unofficial transcript. It's not one that you can print off and use for college applications or scholarships or anything that you need an official transcript for. That you'd have to contact the eSchool office to get, or Ms. Gorman. You can edit the account, and that's where you can change your password as a parent or guardian. If you click on school calendar, you're going to see this populate with the due dates for each of your child's courses. You can see some of the different assignments show up here as to when they're due. So it's a good visual to keep track of what is due and when, in addition to actually going in the course and seeing the gradebook due dates. Messages. There is an email system that lets you communicate with the teachers, but it also just goes right to your email that you have associated with your parent guardian account. But you can also see messages in here as well. And then this nice feature down here, the contacts, this lets you see all the teachers that your student has, in addition to their phone numbers, emails, and you can actually email them directly here. So it's kind of a nice area to keep track of all that contact information. I'm going to go back to the dashboard here, and I'll take a look at the actual course, what it looks like to launch into a course. So similar to the students, you can just go ahead and click on, like if you wanted to view your child's English 1 course, click on the launch button, and you'll be brought into Buzz, our learning management system. If you have more than one student with us, you'll be able to click on that particular student's name to be brought into the Buzz dashboard for that student. And then you can just select the course card to get in. So from here, you can take a look at the grades, and that just lets you see the gradebook from another view. as a parent guardian, you are not able to submit assignments through this account. Sometimes we'll have students who will call us trying to troubleshoot, saying that they can't submit an assignment, they can't redo a quiz, and when we kind of help them troubleshoot, we realize that they're actually logged in as a parent or guardian account, and like maybe they had it already saved on the computer, or mom or dad had it up and the student tried to submit. It won't let you submit anything through the parent or guardian account. It has to all be submitted through the student account. So that's pretty much that feature. If you are unsure if you have an active account, definitely contact one of your students' teachers or the eSchool office, and we can take a look. Or same applies if you know you don't have one and you want to get one activated, we can take care of that for you. All right. All right, well, thank you.
All right, thanks, Jill. All right, so that is the Guardian accounts. We're almost there, so I know we're getting just to the last couple things that we want to touch base on. And we have Donna Murray, so our business teacher. She's going to touch base on just some administrative items. Take it away, Donna.
Sure, thank you. So here are the main office, eSchool, and phone numbers. You also have a main office phone number to call if you wish for general administration items. How do I get my ID? Or can I come into the lab and get some help with my work? Due to COVID and all the rules and restrictions we're under, the way to get your ID is to call the school first on this phone number, 359-7715, and ask for an appointment to have your ID, or if you wish to meet or go into the lab, also conduct appointment, they closed, my apologies, but that we will be able to receive students, but that would also require an appointment. When you are logging into the parent portal and going through your grade, have all of
Donna, I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Donna, you're breaking up a little bit. I think what she was saying, if in case you missed it, is that
I'm going to stop my video, and I'm hopeful that will help.
You want to try that? Let's try that. Maybe that'll work.
So, read time for an
Donna, I'm sorry, you're still breaking up. I'm just going to jump in here and just say that for the administrative items, the biggest thing to know is because of COVID, the building is basically closed. Generally, we would have a lab that students could come into, but right now that lab is also closed. If you do need to access the building for any reason, you may need to come in to pick up a textbook, or if you haven't gotten your student ID yet, you may need to be bringing some signed material into the office. You'll need to just give the office a call at that main number, the 359-7715 number, and make an appointment to come in. Mr. Casper, was there anything else you wanted to add about access to the building? Oh, your mic is off.
I was just going to say that, yeah, as long as you call ahead of time, we can probably accommodate you coming in and getting any materials that you need. So just give us a ring in case there is something. Brooke, I don't have screen sharing capabilities. Did you want to show the website where the contact information is, perhaps?
We put the link in the chat box.
Oh, you did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Lily, do you want to, Ms. Stasic, do you want to add that back in there just so everybody did get access to that?
Yep, let me just zoom through this and then I will put it back in.
So that will be on the right-hand side. And just so you know, there is contact information that's on there for everybody, including their cell phone numbers, their emails, their office hours. Again, if you saw that video I sent out last week, it had some of that information on there. And then those videos that we put up there, they have been updated now. I think when I sent that video up, some of those helpful links weren't up yet, but they are up now. Kudos to our teachers that are on here. A lot of them did that work. So there's no expectation that you remember everything we talked about here tonight. So if you're going home and saying, how did they do that? How did they get to that thing? You can go back and use those videos to help remind yourself.
All right, and I did put the link to the contact page back into the chat box. It's much easier for you to pick up. Then also just one thing I want to say is to please, when you do go into your accounts, into the Guardian account and student accounts that you've seen tonight, please verify your information. We do quite a bit of phone calling, quite a bit of emailing and texting. So please make sure that we have the correct phone numbers for you and the correct emails for you and your parents or guardians so that we can reach you. And email, I know, is not everyone's favorite thing anymore, but quite a bit of information does go out from eSchool through email. So please be sure that you're checking that periodically. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Lily, for jumping in there. And that's for the student and the parent. So it's important too that the student, along with the parent, you both check your emails because we use that a lot, like we said, to communicate with students and the parents also. Our last thing we have for you is just our best advice. So obviously this group here, our eSchool group, our eSchool family, we've been together for a while, been doing this. So just some words of wisdom, and Sarah Eisenberg is gonna take that over.
Yes. Just real quick, can everybody just type in yes or no? Do you use a schedule that you already have set out, or so just yes or no, real quick, just let me know that you guys are working through. Either way is totally fine. Thanks for responding. Just looking to see if we use schedules or not. Okay, so a big mix. So one of the things that we've seen in the years that we've been here is that schedules really do help. You know, whatever schedule you want it to be on. That's the nice thing about eSchool, right? That the courses are open 24/7. Okay, so unorganized, and that's totally cool. We can work, you know, if you want to work through trying to find some organization. But the big thing is so if you prefer to work in the morning, if you prefer to work in the evening, whatever works best for you, figuring that out. And then that way you can set up a schedule. It can be a daily schedule, it could be a weekly schedule, kind of whatever works best for you. So I know for myself, I'm more of a small chunk person. So I do daily, kind of my daily schedule. You know, and that idea of like, I would look at my grade book and see what's due that day. And one of the big things that I've given a lot of students the hint on is just setting an alarm of some kind. It almost tells you like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now, right? So I set an alarm for like, okay, I'm going to work on my history course today, right now. I'm gonna do my reading right now, and I'm gonna do my assignment at 1:30. So those alarms really they're almost like bells at school. So for those of you who were, you know, maybe last year in a school face-to-face setting, you had those bells going. So the alarm is a big piece that I think students have really responded to. Communicate, I think we've hit on this quite a bit. Communication is huge here, right? Obviously, we're not seeing you every single day, unless, I mean, we can, I guess, but just make sure that you're good at communicating with us. Find what works best for you. Are you best at texting? Are you best at calling? Are you best at emailing? Figure out what works for you, and you know, and try it all. See what till you find out what works. Staying on pace. So that kind of couples in with having a schedule. One of the concerns we see from students is when they get so far behind, they just get overwhelmed. So once, you know, if you can stay on pace from the beginning, that's great. If not, make sure you're checking in with your teacher, come up with a new pace, right? So that you're not feeling like, oh, I have to do all of these assignments that are in red today. And then preparing for finals. Obviously, first quarter this year, the good news is you could possibly have them waived if you meet those requirements of all the work done and getting at least a 70%. But, you know, in the future, or even if you do choose to take it now, right, you want to make sure you're preparing, right? Check in with your teacher. Is there a study guide? Are there certain pieces of the course where you should be focusing on? One thing I like to tell my students is as you're going through notes and you take your module exam, whatever questions or topics you're missing, go back and star that in your notebook. Once you've starred that in your notebook or on your computer, if you're taking notes on the computer, you know, highlight it on there so that you know, like, these are places where I really struggled and I need to go back and review before I take my final. So those are some of the big hints for success that I've given students. If we need to brainstorm more, all of us are always happy to just let us know.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Ms. Eisenberg. So those are our top four tips for you. And obviously you can see how they obviously interweave to a lot of the things even I touched on in the beginning, just all the tools and communication pieces to help you do all four of those things. A quick note, and we're wrapping it up here, is just a note if you're a ninth grader in our meeting, that all ninth graders are enrolled in an eSchool advisory. So there is just a general advisory course for all students, but ninth graders specifically will have a teacher advisor assigned to them. So if you haven't heard from us yet, we'll be in touch with you just to touch base a little bit more specifically what the ninth grade advisory looks like and getting a little bit more support at that grade level. And last is any questions. So I know the chat's been open and anything like that. So I don't know if anybody has a question. Again, type it in the chat or grab the mic. Otherwise, we're all available at, you know, reaching out to any of the teachers that your child has or reaching out to the eSchool office. All our staff there is great to answer any questions that will help you.
And no more questions in the chat.
There we go. Then we're there. So we just want to, obviously, from all of us at eSchool, thank you for coming. Hopefully this was really informative and helped you out, just kind of laying everything out. I know it's a little bit different, so hopefully this information helped as a student, as a parent. But again, reach out to us. Whatever there is a question or you need any help or any confusion, the website has a lot of resources, like Mr. Casper had mentioned, in terms of teacher contact, but also some of the things we touched on tonight. There's some more in-depth videos. That's a great resource for anyone new to eSchool. But if you're all set, then have a great evening, and thanks again for coming.
And remember, your teachers are always here for any questions.